Good morning. I just checked the temperature and it is negative 1.3 degrees outside at the moment. So I thought, let's go for a bit of a morning walk and I'll show you what it's like in the morning when we have these nights of freeze here in the Dandenong Ranges. So what better day to take you for a bit of a winter garden tour walk? Just need the sun to come up. The sun's come up, so it's time to brave things outside. But it's going to still be cold. G'day there, it's Rachel here from Bush Edge Homesteading Australia. And it is very, very cold outside. It is currently 0.9 degrees. But the sun has now come up, so I thought I'd bring you outside and do a bit of a winter walk just to see how the garden has fared after the super duper cold night that we've just had. So last night was probably the coldest we've had so far this season. It was, well, when I pushed on the minimum temperature for last night on our weather station, it said it got down to negative 1.7. And yeah, there's a fair bit of evidence of freeze out here at the moment. Look at that. Oh, that is seriously, seriously frozen. So on days like this where we have had a really hard freeze, I do like to get out into the garden, have a bit of a look around. And, you know, it's obviously interesting to come for a bit of a walk on these days just to see exactly what's frozen, but also just have a bit of a look at how the plants have fared as well. Now, because it is still really early, obviously the freeze is still well and truly set in. The sun hasn't started hitting things, and often it's not until the sun actually starts hitting the plants that you really start to see the evidence of how they have fared in the weather. Cold. Yep, seriously cold, but it does look lovely out here. Alright, I'm gonna need to be a little careful on these stairs because I am finding everything being so icy. It is also super duper slippery. You do not want a video of me going flying. Oh, look at that. Everything is crunching underfoot where I'm stepping. Ooh, wow. Look at that. I don't know if that's coming up well on the cameras, but there is just ice everywhere out there at the moment. You can see a lot of it clinging in the gardens, especially the areas of the mulch. I do tend to notice it really seems to cling a lot to the mulch. But also, you know, all the grass in the paddock, that is absolutely covered in frost. Oh yeah, she's cold. So let's keep wandering through. And again, I'm going to be a bit careful here. Jeepers creepers. Look at the ice on the leaves. Beautiful. And we'll keep moving through. Often an interesting spot is our little water area where we used to have a lot of water plants in this little barrel, just to see, can we actually pick up a layer of ice or not? This is one of the areas that often I can tell how bad the freeze has been by how thick the ice is here. So you can see there's a bit of a layer there, but I can crack through. And that's basically how thick the ice got last night, which means it was below freezing for quite a while. Ooh, look at those fingers. They just went red. It's cold. There's our strawberries. Again, super duper icy. And they're hard to the touch. Hear them crinkling. Won't touch them too much because they are starting to break. That's one of our beds. Again, massive layer of ice over everything. Let's see if we can get right in. It's always pretty when you see like those ice crystals on the mulch. Oh, will it do it? There we go. How pretty! And continuing to move through. There's a few potatoes here that have, again, lots of those ice crystals on them. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful, but also cold. Raspberry bed. Given I haven't taken you on a tour for a little while, I think the last time the raspberries still had lots of leaves on. There's obviously no leaves at the moment though. We haven't done our pruning yet of that area, so we still do need to do that. But one area that we have dealt with now is this area here, which is all the asparagus. So that's all been completely cut back to the ground. In fact, interestingly, the other day I started seeing a few little shoots popping up. Actually, there's one there. So even though we're nowhere near the start of spring yet, that there is one of our little asparagus shoots. So hopefully we will get a decent crop this year. We didn't really get many last year because we were actually away when they were kind of at their peak of being able to pick. So what that meant is a lot of it went to frond, and yeah, well, hopefully that means that the crowns have really developed up now even more than they were in the past, and hopefully we get a really good crop this year off the back of that, because they put a lot of the energy back into the roots when you don't actually pick all of the spears and you let it kind of go to frond. Ooh, more evidence of cold. Nicely frozen. It's a beautiful time to be out here. I'm not sure if you can hear the birds. And everything is, really quiet and quite still out here at the moment. Everything must be kind of tucking itself away because of the cold. Not sure that the flowers liked it too much. Be interesting to see what they look like later when things start to defrost. In fact, I might just pop out here quickly with the camera again a little later when things do start to defrost a bit, so you can see what things look like. Ooh, we don't have a lot going in our garden here at the moment this winter, and I suppose I haven't really explained that. There's a couple of little projects we've got going out here, doing a little bit of work on the retaining wall. The middle one's a bit rotten, so we've got to pull that out, and also we want to get some irrigation in these beds, just to kind of take a little bit of the load off when it comes to watering. We've been doing pretty much all of our watering by hand. Ooh, speaking of hands, that is cold. It almost burns. It's so cold out here this morning. Now, what is looking pretty sad is the celeries. There's some here and some there, and these ones here, which have all kind of flopped over in the cold last night. And even the violas, they don't look like they liked it too much. And the marigold, which had been hanging on here, yeah, that is not looking very happy at all. Look at that. Again, beautiful, but it's not going to be a very happy plant. Got lots of ice in the beds here. Look at this. That is actually hard and icy. Moving on. Cold, cold, cold and frozen plants in this bed here as well. That's actually funny, look at this. You can actually snap it off. That's a bit of spring onion. It's just totally frozen. And in this bed here, it's actually kind of interesting. There's one kind of spot that's not so frozen. It's almost like a little trail. wonder if there was like a little animal or something moving through there last night. And here's our garlic. I am going to give you guys a separate garlic update video. But hopefully they don't mind this freeze last night, because yeah, they're looking plenty icy as well. Now thankfully we have the greenhouse, and I am not going to open the greenhouse up. Whatever skerrick of warmth there might still be in there, I want to keep in there. But that's where, you know, we've got a lot of those chilies and capsicums still growing. There is a few things that we've got in like little pots. We've got jeepers, there's even like a dragon fruit and a pineapple and things like that that really, really do not like the cold. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like a little bit later. When I do pop back out with the camera, I will show you. Son's bonsais. Again, there's going to be a little video separately on that because he started getting into bonsais lately, and it was really exciting to see him getting set up. And yeah, then we're kind of coming to the end of the bed area here. Our materials for doing our retaining wall. Hoping to get to that this weekend. There's always projects on the go around here. So yeah, that is essentially a bit of a kind of first walk through this area of the garden. Yeah, I'll probably have a bit of a peek out the front as well in a moment, but what I'll do is I'll grab the camera out again. When I come back out, oh, actually, hang on, first of all, check that out. That's our sheep water. Can you see that? Yeah, it's got a bit of a sheet of ice on top as well, so obviously the sheep haven't come for a bit of a drink yet this morning. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'll come back out again when the sun comes up a little bit more, just to see what the plants are looking like once they start to defrost. Hopefully not too damaged. Just to show you quickly out the front, it's not so bad out here because a lot of the plants are quite deciduous. When you have a frost this time of year, it doesn't affect them too much. But we do have all the kind of herbaceous plants out the front here. It'll be interesting to see how these are going when we pop back out a little bit later too. You're waiting for me in the warm. And you're in the right spot. Whew. On your hubby. The sun's just starting to break through over the hill. Takes a little while this time of year with the sun being so low on the horizon and being in the valley as well. We don't get a lot of sunlight out. But yeah, that ice out there I think is going to be pretty persistent today. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer to take you back out for another look. It's looking pretty cool out here at the moment, isn't it, boys?
Yeah.
Look at all the steam coming off everything. But there's still a bit of ice around. I want to show you something super cool. Come down here. Ooh, be really, really careful on the stairs because they are still super icy. Oh, look at that. Can you see how cold it's been?
Yeah.
All right. Feel the water in the barrel.
No.
Give it a little tap.
Stick. An icy stick.
Still pretty hard, hey?
No, but no, I think we're actually just using common enough.
Oh.
Look at that.
It is. It's cool, huh? Cool. Like literally icy cool.
This.
Well, you're going to poke it too now, are you? Is that a bit of ice?
Yeah, a little chunk of ice.
I think it's going to take a little while to defrost today.
Yep.
Ooh.
Kind of has the consistency of glass.
It is a bit like glass, isn't it? Yeah, bud?
Just
What have you found?
Strawberries.
Yeah, I was having a look at those earlier and I touched one and it actually broke. Oh, you're trying to see if you can snap it.
No, I don't want to snap it. I just want to feel how, like if it's frozen inside.
Yeah, I think it's starting to defrost a little bit, but there is still a lot of ice. Anywhere there's shade, like here, it's still really super icy. But I reckon down here where the sun is just starting to touch, we are starting to see things starting to defrost.
This weeding job we did yesterday would have been much harder.
Oh yeah. You guys did a great job weeding this yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
All around the carrots. And also some of these silver beets. Imagine how icy your fingers would be if you were doing it today.
It's still pretty icy yesterday.
It was cold yesterday too, wasn't it? It has actually been pretty much at freezing every night. For the last couple of weeks, it's been like really, really cold. So yeah, but not quite as cold as last night, hey? All right, let's have a quick look down here. Ooh, you can see the sun starting to touch oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart. The potatoes here. And they're looking a little bit sad. What about over here? You can still see heaps of ice everywhere. Where the shade is, it's still super frosty. Oh, you're going to check your bonsais, hey? Oh, I reckon that might now finally be the end of the dahlias. So these dahlias in the middle here, I can't believe how long they have held on. I mean, obviously not flowering or anything for quite a while now, but the actual plants themselves, they haven't completely died back this year. And I've been waiting for them to because I actually want to dig out the tubers. Yeah, I wonder if they will die off now and I can finally dig those out, hopefully. Still quite a bit of iciness about. Look at that. But I reckon even though the celeries have kind of flopped over quite a bit, I actually think they might be okay. I was actually thinking I might need to harvest them completely this evening and maybe just chuck it all in the dehydrator, but they might be okay. I'll just keep an eye on that though. All right, let's have a bit of a look in here. Ooh, there is actually a lovely warmth in here already. You know, I'm sure if I had snuck in earlier when we very first came out, that was probably not the case. But yeah, with the sun coming up, there's already a nice bit of warmth. Now, things are not looking too bad in here compared to how they were yesterday. So that's our sweet potatoes. You would have seen our video a couple of weeks ago where we harvested the sweet potatoes from this little bed. And yeah, all the bits that we've left are still pretty much the same. In fact, they probably won't do anything now until springtime when they will start to shoot out again. Little teeny tiny pineapple. Kind of stole the show at that sweet potato planting video time because everyone was kind of noticing it in the background and there was quite a few comments on that. That is a plant that I actually have a bit of a relationship with. Hubby planted this, I don't even know how many years ago, because it was like years and years ago, and it's really not done anything. And I'm constantly in here getting spiked because it is actually really sharp and quite hard on these spikes. And that is not fun when you're trying to kind of garden in here and you get one of those, particularly when it comes close to your eyes. So I often grump about this plant, and I'd said to hubby many a time, can we get rid of it? Because it just doesn't do anything and it takes up space in the greenhouse. And it is a little greenhouse, so space is a premium. But yeah, he's kind of got the last laugh because this year it is finally producing a pineapple. How cool is that? And that's super cute. I don't know if it's going to grow any bigger than that because definitely here in Victoria, it's not and particularly in the Dandenong Ranges, it's not an area for growing pineapples. So yeah, who knows if that's as big as it will get, and it's not particularly big. But at the very least, how exciting and what a novelty to grow a pineapple up here in the Dandenong Ranges. Yeah, I guess we've got a bit of yellowing, which we had already started seeing to the ginger over the past couple of weeks with all these kind of nights hovering around freezing. With all the nights hovering around freezing, we have actually lost a couple of the chilies this year. So that one there is well and truly cactus. And I reckon last night was pretty much the final straw for this one here as well. But as always, the ones in the beds are doing quite well. They really do seem to be able to handle the frosty weather a lot better. And they're all still looking really quite healthy. In fact, I did a huge pick off the jalapenos just this weekend, and we've been dehydrating those into some chili powder. Actually, it looks like some of the ones at the top didn't fare so well though, so yeah, a bit of frost damage there, but overall, I will give that a bit of a prune. To be honest, I probably should have pruned these down a little bit, but because we have been still getting the chilies, I didn't this year. But yeah, definitely now that we're starting to see that kind of damage, this is what happens if I don't prune them back a bit. Those more tender sort of tip areas, they do often get a little bit frost affected. Well, not frost affected because we're in the greenhouse, but cold affected this time of year. And everything else, all the little plant pots, they're doing okay, except for this one here, which is the dragon fruit. I just don't think I can grow dragon fruit up here. Yeah, that's not happy at all. But other than that, everything's looking pretty good. So on that note, I reckon what we'll do is we'll pop out the front and see how things are going out there. And it looks like the sheep haven't been into that water yet, but they are now up and about now that sun is up. This area at the front of the house does tend to stay in the shade a fair bit, so I am expecting things are still going to be fairly icy. Obviously the sun has started hitting all the fruit trees area, but that's all perfectly fine. As mentioned earlier, a lot of that is deciduous type plants, so they really don't tend to get too affected when we have frosts. But yeah, still plenty of ice. That's one of our bananas. Bananas have actually all started looking a little bit yellower this week. They definitely don't like the frosty cold weather. And yeah, there's still plenty of ice on these ones as well. So realistically, we won't see how they're faring until a little bit later today, but yeah, they should be perfectly fine. I'm not too stressed about any of these. So overall, everything has fared really quite well, considering how cold it's been, with this couple of weeks of nights where it's been around freezing and then the super duper cold night that we had last night. But now it's faring out to be a beautiful day, which is cool because I've got a little bit of annual leave for school holidays with the kids. So that means we can go out and enjoy it a bit. All right, guys, thanks a bunch for taking some time out to come for a bit of a icy winter walk with me around the garden. And as always, thanks a bunch for joining, and catch you later.